New details from the Trump administration of the peace negotiations set to take place at the White House Monday with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders. Secretary of State Marco Rubio today saying breakthroughs were made during President Trump's meeting with Vladimir Putin, but expressed doubt the U.S. will facilitate an end to the war, stressing that it is ultimately up to Ukraine to agree to a peace deal with Russia.
Obviously, we felt, and I agreed, that there was enough progress, not a lot of progress, but enough progress made in those talks to allow us to move to the next phase. If not, we wouldn't be having Zelensky flying all the way over here. We wouldn't be having all the Europeans coming all the way over here. Now, understand and take with a grain of salt, I'm not saying we're on the verge of a peace deal, but I am saying that we saw movement, enough movement to justify a follow-up meeting with Zelensky and the Europeans, enough movement for us to dedicate even more time to this. You talk about the sanctions. Look, at the end of the day, if peace is not going to be possible here, and this is just going to continue on as a war, people will continue to die by the thousands.
Joining me now is California Congressman Robert Garcia. He is a member of the Transportation Committee and the Democratic leader on the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Welcome, my friend. It's good to see you here. So give me your reaction to what you just heard there from Secretary Rubio. Do you have faith, from what we've learned, that enough progress was made on Friday?
I mean, I'm not sure what progress Secretary Rubio is actually talking about. I mean, this was clearly an embarrassment for President Trump. There was barely a meeting that actually happened. Of course, Putin now gets some sort of propaganda machine in the White House for his own purposes. And there is no clarity here to show that Ukraine is actually safer or actually in a position to defend its territory. Let's remember what this is really about. This is about Putin, a dictator in Russia who essentially wants to conquer more land and move his power towards the West and across parts, as we all know, of Ukraine. And so this idea that Donald Trump is somehow bending the knee or part of this show for Putin is incredibly dangerous for our own national security and certainly for our European allies. Now, look, I think it's a good thing that Zelensky and European leaders continue to have these talks, but we should be supporting Ukraine unconditionally. We should be there with our support, supporting our European allies, and making it very clear that Putin is not only no friend of the United States, he is no friend of democracy and certainly no friend of Europe. And so I don't see what progress was made. We'll see what happens this week.
I was going to ask what you expect out of Monday. What will define progress for you?
Well, what would define progress is Putin pulling out of Ukraine. I mean, we should be very clear. I mean, Putin has been the aggressor. He is the one that has come into Ukraine. He has been the one that has caused massive harm to the Ukrainian people and his own people. And of course, it's very clear this is someone that has no interest in actually the United States, our progress, or democracy. What he is doing is using our president, Donald Trump, for his own propaganda back home in Russia. And so that, I think, is something that should be concerning to all of us. And what we saw on display when that meeting actually happened should concern every single person in this country, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent. This is a dictator who is attacking other countries for his own purposes, and we should be supporting our allies, Zelensky and Ukraine.
Let's move now to the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, because depositions, as you know, depositions scheduled to begin this week in the Oversight Committee. And this list includes Bill and Hillary Clinton, former FBI directors James Comey and Robert Mueller, former attorneys general Merrick Garland, William Barr as well. Barr is reportedly up first tomorrow. Do you expect him to show up, and what do you hope to learn?
We do expect him to show up. It's our indication that he is coming. We're going to obviously ask a lot of questions. And look, the Republicans obviously put together this list of folks that they wanted to subpoena. Democrats on the committee actually were trying to expand that list to include others from the Trump administration. Republicans did not want to do that. This is their list. They have a right in the majority to put that list together. So we're going to ask tough questions of everyone that is in front of us to be deposed. But our requests are that we want to see other folks also come testify. What about Alex Acosta? Alex Acosta put together the sweetheart deal that Jeffrey Epstein got, that we all know, becomes Trump's labor secretary. He actually knows more about Jeffrey Epstein, the Epstein documents, than probably any other person right now alive. And certainly, as the one putting together that deal, we want to understand, why did Jeffrey Epstein get a sweetheart deal, and what was Donald Trump at all involved, particularly right now, in trying to navigate this case back in his favor and what we're viewing as some type of cover-up. And so there are a lot of folks we want to talk to, but everyone the Republicans want to depose, we're open to having that conversation. I've said this before, Alex. We don't care what political party you're in, how much money you have, how much power you've accumulated. If you've actually caused harm to young women and girls, you should be held accountable. And as you probably know, the Epstein file subpoena, actually the due date is next week. So we're looking forward to also getting those documents.
Let's move to California Democrats, of which you are one, having released that proposal for a new congressional map that could give the party up to 5 new seats, but all in response to the GOP's redistricting power grab in Texas. Voters are going to decide in a November 4th special election in California whether to adopt the new district lines. You want other Democratic governors to follow California's lead and fight back with new maps. Does it make sense, though, to do this state by state? I'm going to let you know it was suggested on this show yesterday that all of this could lead to creating some kind of a national independent redistricting commission. Would that be effective?
Well, look, I mean, Democrats actually nationally have agreed on this issue. We've always supported independent commissions. Democrats in Congress in the past have actually passed and proposed legislation to implement essentially commissions and take out gerrymandering from the process. And in California, I supported our commission, as has our governor in the past, because we don't believe in gerrymandering. But what's happening right now is Donald Trump is trying to rig the 2026 election. We should be very clear. It's happening in Texas, it's going to happen in Florida, and they're going to move state by state. So Democrats can no longer have one hand tied behind our back. We've got to bring the same fight that Republicans do. And so I strongly support Governor Newsom's efforts here in California. It is the right thing to do. It is a reaction to Texas. Our, of course, commission in our state stays in place, and it will revert back to a commission. But right now, mid-decade, we're going to rewrite our map, and we're going to do the same exact thing that Republicans are doing in Texas. And so what I have said is other Democratic governors out there right now across this country should be following Gavin Newsom's lead. If you have the ability to redistrict and respond to Republicans, let's get moving. We've got to bring the same energy across the country. And I think our governor right now is meeting the moment exactly right.
Okay. Always a pleasure to have you on. Love to talk with you about what you find out in the Oversight Committee with the Epstein deposition. So we'll chat again. Thank you much.